Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gabe Garris, owner of Backwoods Pursuit, and today we're going to do an Outdoor Vitals Novapro jacket review. These are Outdoor Vitals new ultralight puffy jackets. They are very lightweight and very warm for their weight. They do an excellent job in the wind as well. We're able to test these out in a number of conditions, in wind, hiking, some very cold temperatures as well. Want to bring you those results, how they performed. Also want to bring you some of the pros and cons we came up with after using these jackets, both the ladies version and the men's. We're able to test both of these out. So stick around as we go through these details. Really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button for us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And check out our website, backwoodspursuit.com. Links to all that down in the description, as well as a link toward the Outdoor Vitals Novapro jacket. All right, now a couple of the specs before we get into the performance here. The men's size large came in at 14.5 ounces, just like the website says. I weighed this myself on my own scale, so awesome there. The ladies size medium came in at 13.1 ounces, so incredibly lightweight, particularly for the warmth that you get here. Now the insulation is an 850 fill Hyperdry down. It's down LT insulation, and it is combined with a no-stitch baffling here, which is really amazing. So the outside of the shell material here is a Nova no-stitch shell material. It's a little bit on the loud side for a hunting application if you want to archery hunt and something like this. But for rifle hunting, you'd be just fine, or obviously backpacking, hiking, any of those applications. The noise is not nearly as big of a deal. So the baffle system, though, is really awesome in the way that they've designed that. More on that in just a moment. Other features here, you've got a pit zips on both of the pits, which is awesome, particularly in the down jackets. I found that really useful if I'm a little bit more active but don't want to necessarily stop and take my jacket off, able to vent right there. Not a lot of puffy jackets have that, so that's an awesome feature that is offered here in the Novapro jackets. Now you also have built-in thumb loops. Those are nice to help keep your hands warm, combined with the insulated pockets that you've got. The pockets go on the underneath side of the insulation, so the insulation here is on the outside, still keeping your hand warm, so keep the back of your hand warm. Put your thumb in that loop. It's going to aid in keeping your hands warm without having to go put gloves on. That can be nice. And then you also can stuff the entire jacket in the pocket of this, so that can be nice if you're wanting to throw that in your backpack or whatnot without having to have a stuff sack, something of that nature. You've got also two separate controls on the hood here if you want to cinch down the hood, one on either side of your face there, and then also on the back, and that's going to control the top of the hood. So you can really cinch that around your head so you don't lose your peripheral vision with the jacket if you do need to wear the hood. The hood does fit well. It's a loose fitting hood, so it's not so big that it's going to really elastic around the side of your face like some of the, say, the Sitka jackets or some of those that we've tested. So it's a little different that way, but you do have the ability to tighten that down if you want to. We found that it really worked well. Now more on the interwoven baffle system here. This is very unique to this jacket. It's the first of its kind that I'm aware of, but you have a baffling system here that does not stitched or sewn throughout. So you have roughly 10,000 less holes in a jacket than if you had sewn baffles. So each of the baffles here are interwoven, and then the down is held in each of its baffles that way. So you have way less holes in the jacket, which is going to help it be more windproof, which in our experience, that absolutely was the case. This thing is fantastic in the wind, much better than any other puffy that I have personally ever used. I was really happy with that. It also makes it a bit more durable because you don't have so many holes in the jacket, and it's going to be better in moisture and rain as well because, again, you don't have holes throughout the shell material that you're trying to either plug with some kind of DWR treatment or something of that nature. It just naturally does not have as many holes that you have to mess with. So there are stitches, of course, in some of the arms and whatnot. You can't get away from that, but all throughout the body here there aren't. So it's really unique. On the back you can see it really well. There are no stitches all throughout the back. It's all just that interwoven baffling system. So really cool design that way, and it gives it kind of a cool look also. So that is the way that system works. It's found it to work really well. It's excellent in the wind and really warm for its weight with that 850 fill Hyperdry down. Now, as far as sizing, we found that both the men's and the ladies here were very true to size in their fit. I typically wear a size large in just about everything, and that fit perfectly in the size large, and my wife typically wears a size medium. Same here, it worked really well for her and fit really well. There are a couple things to note on the sizing. Both the men's and the women's have a taper in the back here, so it's going to kind of curve with your back. So it's not going to be this big droopy kind of a jacket. It really is fitted to your body, so it gives it a really nice fitted look. It's not overly fitted, so it's not super tight. It gives you a little bit of ability to layer underneath. I've had several layers under mine. When I've been out in some real cold temperatures, I've had actually 3 layers, a hoodie and then a couple of base layers, and it did just fine that way when we were out doing some ice fishing and we used this jacket. All right, so how did these things perform for us out in the field? We were able to use these for everything from single digits up to well above freezing, hiking, sitting, standing, even around town. Pretty much wore these all around town for months on end during the colder months here. So got a really good feel for how they perform. Now, while hiking, I found using these, the first hike I took these on, it was in the upper 20s, and I don't usually wear a puffy when I hike because something this warm is going to make you sweat it out pretty quick. But I started out with the pit zips open, which is a great feature, and I had 2 thin base layers underneath this. And so I just wanted to see how bad that would be or how hot I would get. And while I did get hot because that's not that cold to be active, and it was a hike with a weighted pack, so it was pushing pace pretty heavily. I got hot, but it wasn't overly bad. I was surprised. About halfway through, I had to unzip the front just to vent a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as I would have expected to be, particularly because of those vents. Second time I took this out hiking, it was in the low teens, 12 or 13 degrees, and I started out with those same base layers, but I started out fully zipped up, and after about the first mile, I unzipped the pit zips and then undid the front just a little bit, about a quarter of the way, and I was quite comfortable. Definitely on the warmer side still, because hiking at a good pace with the weight in your pack, it's going to do that. But I was pretty impressed that it had that kind of a range even while you're active and hiking. Now, I also took this out ice fishing, spent the day on the lake with this, and I had those same 2 base layers, but added in underneath this the Sitka Gradient hoodie. So that's a nice warm hoodie. So I had 3 layers underneath this, but it was able to stay very warm. It was windy a little bit on the lake, as it typically is, so I got a really good idea of how this thing lasted and did in the wind, particularly just being stagnant, sitting there doing ice fishing. So, and I was really impressed with how warm this was, and they just really performed phenomenally well, blocked that wind really well. So overall, really impressed with the warmth, but just as impressed with how versatile they are. With these pit zips here, it allows you to open these up and really vent that so that you can extend the usability and the usable temperatures that you can wear this in. All right, so some of the pros and cons we came away with after testing these out over the last several months. Pros here, the stitching system, the interwoven stitching and baffling is really incredible for keeping wind out. Wind resistance is top-notch for a puffy in my experience. The pit zips are awesome. They really extend the usable temperatures in this jacket. You can feasibly hike in it and be okay. You're still going to be on the warm side certainly, but it's not too bad. The hood fit really well. It is on the bigger side. It is looser if you want it to be, but it also allows you to cinch that down and does a really good job. The warmth to weight ratio on these is absolutely incredible, 14.5 ounces. And compared to another 14.5 ounce jacket that I have, another puffy, it's not even close. That one is more of a sweater weight, but this one is more than twice as warm as that. So incredible. I would say that this is close in warmth to, say, the Sitka Kelvin Light Down, because I've had that one for quite a while and used that a bunch. So, but it's a good 4 ounces lighter than that one even. So pretty incredible in the weight department, particularly given that you also have pit zips. All right, now a couple of downsides we noted after using these jackets over the last couple of months. On the ladies' jacket here, we noticed that the taper in the cut wasn't that generous going down towards the hips, so it made for a little bit of a snug fit in the hips. Now that's obviously going to be dependent on the body shape and size and whatnot, so it's hard to get that perfect for everyone, but it was on the snug side as far as that cut. Another one on both men's and women's here is, while the pocket here is really nice and large and it allows you to stuff the jacket inside the pocket, it had a material here that isn't attached in quite as many places here, and so what would happen while you're wearing it, is over the course of hands in and out and whatnot, you'd end up having your pockets sticking out like that. And that just seemed to happen quite often, so you're always just pushing the pockets back in. Even though it's not a huge deal, it'd kind of be nice if those pockets were sewn in a little bit more to make sure that those pockets weren't coming out on you a little bit. Not a big deal, but just something that noted through using it that could possibly be better. On the inside here, you have your pull tabs for the hem here, which is nice, but that brings me to the other thing that we didn't love about these is that pull tab here comes out right here by the zipper. So found ourselves oftentimes having to make sure that that was out of the way before you go to zip it, because that just tends to open up and fall out of the pockets right there, or you're pulling them, going into the pockets and pulling that elastic out of the way so that you can zip. So again, a small thing, and you kind of figure out how to maneuver around that, but it would be nice if there's a way to keep that from coming out of the pocket and this sitting there in the way of the zipper, or having to work around that. Now, another thing I noticed while using this, particularly while hiking, if I wanted to utilize the pit zips, it's not too bad to get the pit zips open when you're wanting to be out there. They do stick just a little bit, but if you want to close those back up after using them, it's really, really difficult. You can get it to about right there, and then it just wants to stick. I was never able to get that last little bit all the way closed up without a little bit of help from somebody else or taking the jacket off. So that's certainly not ideal. The angle of that zipper, for whatever reason, and the fitment, it wouldn't allow use of that, getting that zipper all the way back up while the jacket's on, at least by yourself. So that is the Outdoor Vitals Novapro jackets. Overall, we loved these jackets. They're super warm. They do really, really well in the wind particularly, and they are very durable. They do really well in the rain as well. Obviously, they're not a rain jacket, so you can't expect that kind of performance, but they do shed some moisture if you do run into that kind of weather where you need to have a little bit of water protection. So awesome jackets. Link down in the description to the Outdoor Vitals Novapro jacket, and stick around as we are going to have a full detailed review on these jackets compared to several other puffy jackets that are similar to these, and you're going to see how they perform versus some of the competition out there. Thanks for watching here today, and we will see you next time.